Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Josephine Krasnodemska, and I'm a project manager at Seven Bulls. And today I have a pleasure to be a host of the webinar entitled Break Out of Metrics and Free Your Mind and Enter into the Multi-Cloud World. Probably some of you will ask yourself, why such title? I could explain it like some technical innovations, some services, some movies are overtaking their epoch. And that was exactly with Metrics with Keanu Reeves from 1999 and multi-cloud today. So the main idea behind our webinar is a world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries, a world where anything is just possible. So in other meaning, Marta Różańska, Alicja Ryniewicz, Maciej Riedl, Paweł Skrzypek, and Katarzyna Materka will introduce the concept of multi-clouds, as well as provide a practical guide to the existing state-of-the-art multi-cloud solutions. At the beginning, some technical information. Only our speakers will be visible, but anytime during our webinar, you can write a question in the section questions and answers that you can see in our webinar down. In the meantime, we'll answer your questions, writing it in this section, but the remaining ones will be answered at the end of our webinar. And last but not least, as Kasia already mentioned, that our webinar is recorded and will be sent to all of you. So please sit down conveniently and just free your mind to the world of cloud with extensive coverage on migration tactics, vendor selection, optimization, multi-cloud environments, and of course, many, many more. But not to extend any second more, I would like to introduce a first excellent speaker. It's Marta Różańska. She will introduce to multi-cloud deployments and why to deploy into multi-cloud. A few words about Marta. Marta is a researcher and a PhD student at University of Oslo, as well as a researcher at Seven Bulls. She has been working on cloud computing optimization for both commercial and research projects for 4 years. It is also a topic of her PhD thesis. Marta leads the development of the proactive adaptation feature in Morphemic project. Marta, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Josefina. Good morning, everyone. Let me share my screen. Okay, so hello, I'm Marta, and today I would like to show you the way to the cloud, to be more precise, to the multi-cloud world. I assume you already know what the cloud computing is, and you also know what are the greatest benefits of using cloud for deploying your application. So I will just briefly remind it. I will not focus on details. Then I will discuss reasons for multi-cloud approach in more details. There are basically two options for application deployment infrastructure, cloud or on-premise. Both approaches have pros and cons. The biggest advantage of the cloud is the fact that the pricing model is constructed in a way pay as you go, which can be not a big amount of money at the beginning when you run your proof of concept, etc. It's possible to use cloud in many ways. Here are the most important acronyms for you. So the first one, infrastructure as a service, which offers services such as pay-as-you-go storage, networking, and virtualization. It gives users cloud-based alternatives to on-premise infrastructure, so businesses can avoid investing in expensive on-site resources. You can buy what you need as you need it and purchase more as your business grows. Platform as a service, currently the most popular model, where you can pay for the virtual environment, like hardware and software tools available over the internet. People, usually developers, use these tools to develop applications. When using PaaS, you don't need to start from scratch. When creating applications, it saves a lot of time and money on writing extensive code. Last, from the most popular possibilities is software as a service, where you can use services that are simply offered over the internet, usually for a monthly subscription fee. SaaS providers also offer out-of-the-box solutions that are simple to set up if you need a basic package with more complex solutions for larger organizations. But probably you have already thought and chose cloud. So just to mention, sometimes it may be valuable to consider buying your own infrastructure. For example, if you do the machine learning training and you use GPUs that are pretty expensive in the cloud. It may be cheaper to do the basic training using your on-premise infrastructure and use cloud for higher demand. Such example of hybrid deployment will be shown at the end of this webinar. For now, let's go cloud. When you grow, you need quick scaling. When one blogger posts a tweet with your product one day, the interest can increase rapidly and you need to be prepared. You probably want to be prepared because this moment can never happen again. The ability to scale the infrastructure immediately and the high availability are the biggest advantage of the cloud. That is the reason why the usage of cloud services grows 60% in the last 3 years and is expected to grow even more. There are many examples of startups that have caught the momentum because being in the cloud from the very beginning. For example, Pokemon Go. You probably know this game. Their popularity exceeded 50 times the expected traffic, and they were able to handle this with Google Cloud. They had a huge success. What is more, on this chart below, you can see that big growth of popularity took only 2 months, even if they had been able to predict their tremendous success and they had bought the infrastructure to handle this, they would have overpaid. So probably Pokemon Go bills to GCP for these 2 months were quite huge, but after that period, they are not paying and maintaining the redundant infrastructure. They had their momentum, they exceeded their expectations 50 times, and we all remember the name of this application. They did their job good. But you probably also know the cases where the product was not ready to grow. Many web shops are always not ready for Black Friday, almost in the same way as public road services are surprised with a snow in December. As an example, J.Crew, American multi-brand retailer, had technical difficulties which have lasted 5 hours during Black Friday 2019, and it impacted 323,000 shoppers and cost the company around $775,000 in sales. Don't think that it didn't happen last year. Even the best retailers experience website crashes, including Adidas, Nike, or Apple. Walmart lost $9 million in just 150 minutes. They were not in cloud or they did it wrongly. We will tell you more about what wrongly means later, but you want to avoid this. Okay, so we are now together in the cloud and we can sleep safe. Can we? After some time, cloud computing is not so comfortable anymore. The cost of cloud infrastructure is bigger and bigger. Companies starting to be tied to the one cloud provider. There is a need to rely on its prices and on its availability. It may be too costly to move to another cloud provider, and the company may not have resources to do that. And statistics shows that many business owners estimate that the critical part of their application is the fact that the data and computing is located to one cloud provider. What you can see on the diagram is that the blue parts are the most critical, red are moderate risk, and green are considered as low risk. Business owners are afraid of data breach and cyber attack, and the failure to provide the service level agreements with cloud provider. Then the third point is the fact that data are locked in one cloud provider. What's more, cloud providers often launch new services and change their prices frequently. You you may find that cost increase or better deals become available elsewhere. If you are locked into one single cloud provider, you will not be able to easily take advantage of these better opportunities. This is the reason one may think about being multi-cloud ready. It may be useful to use specific services of one cloud provider, but it's important to remember that the more you tie, the harder it will be to escape. If you choose a multi-cloud approach, your organization returns the power, not the cloud vendor. If you adopt a multi-cloud approach from the start, your developers can also create apps, applications that will work on multiple platforms, giving you maximum flexibility to take advantage of the best prices or capabilities of different platforms. That's why multi-cloud approach is more and more popular. IDG survey about cloud computing found that more than half of responders use multiple public clouds. 34% use 2, 10% use 3, and 11% use more than 3 cloud providers. What's more, 49% of respondents say that they adopted a multi-cloud approach to get best-of-breed platform and service options. So we can even say that maybe the cloud is the present, but multi-cloud is the very near future. What are the advantages of multi-cloud approach? Firstly, the ability to cost optimization. If some cloud provider becomes more expensive, you can simply move your application to another cheaper cloud provider. Secondly, it's possible to customize the cloud to your business requirements. It's possible to use the best services from many cloud providers. Sometimes it can be more suitable region or location. Sometimes it can be some service or virtual machine type. The next advantage is the fact that using multi-cloud, we can avoid vendor lock-in. Many organizations opt for multi-cloud because they don't want to be tied to a single cloud provider, as we discussed previously. But multi-cloud can also mitigate risk from potential cloud outages. The outage of any one cloud platform is less likely to harm the business overall when we follow multi-cloud approach. And we may believe that big cloud providers are quite stable, but in last year we experienced also outages on the big cloud providers. So multi-cloud approach can also mitigate this risk. Last but not least, in multi-cloud environment, we can make a dynamic cross-cloud autoscaling. So not autoscaling among one cloud provider, but among all possible cloud providers. So I think we agree that multi-cloud seems promising, but it's not very easy to implement this approach because it's important to remember that each cloud provider has a specific API. And if company wants to move to multi-cloud, the IT team has to learn these multiple clouds, which can cost more than learning a single cloud, which is quite obvious. But what's more, every cloud provider has a simple scaling tool. It's not clear how to use it in the multi-cloud environment, and it's not possible to use them for cross-cloud scaling. It has to be done by another tool. And these are the reasons that together with this multi-cloud strategy, multi-cloud management tools are being intensively developed these days. And guess what? Big cloud providers also see it. They now offer multi-cloud management tools like Google Anthos, announced 2 years ago in version beta, now available as a full service, but it's still quite expensive. Microsoft announced Azure Arc, which is a platform to manage services on-premise and in cloud, announced also in 2019. And even our semi-monopolist on this market, AWS, announced a tool that is maybe not multi-cloud, but it allows for hybrid approach in AWS. It's called AWS Hotspots, and it allows users to run AWS services on their own infrastructure. Last but not least, the 7 Bulls develops together with other partners Melodic open source platform that is available from 2018, and in the next part we will show you its possibilities and features. As you can see, due to the advantage that multi-cloud computing offers, various multi-cloud management platforms have been developed, each with its own advantages and weaknesses. This table attempts to review all these multi-cloud management platforms based on some hierarchical criteria framework, covering the dimensions of cloud orchestration support, cloud application support, and also cloud platform intelligence. It is just a short summary because it's not the main topic today. We show the detailed overview on our workshop on the 11th of May on DevOps Pro conference. And we also show it later in our next webinar, probably. There is also a paper with the description of the methodology used for this evaluation, written by Kritikos, Skrzypek, and Zahid. So how do we compare multi-cloud management platforms? Firstly, the cloud orchestration support, which contains the possibilities to orchestrate cloud services. The multi-cloud support, so if the platform supports both public, private, and cross-cloud deployments, how various deployment types like containers, virtual machines, SaaS, SaaS, and PaaS deployment options are available in this platform, and also specialized resources kinds like GPU. The third aspect is bring your own node support, which means that it is possible to use bare metal nodes. It's important because user might have existing resources hosted in specialized infrastructure or private clouds, and the ability for this multi-cloud management platform to explore and manage such resources is a useful feature. The last aspect is automation, which means creating an execution plan based on the model and executing it to deploy the application into the cloud or to multi-cloud. Ideally, it is expected that based on this model of the user application, and multi-cloud management platform could derive and execute concrete orchestration plan to make the whole experience easier for the user. So that's the first criteria, orchestration support. The application support, that's the second important criteria for evaluation of multi-cloud management platform. And it's about to support the multi-cloud application management spanning the whole lifecycle. The third point, platform intelligence, because multi-cloud management platform should derive extra knowledge to optimize the client's application in terms of its initial deployment and its continuous reconfiguration. It should optimize regarding many factors like performance and cost aspects. So this evaluation results clearly showed that many platforms are now focused on orchestration capabilities and support for as many services and deployment possibilities as it is possible. Here the most popular and the most experienced one are Morpheus and Cloud Bolt. Many of them does not provide any optimization or just basic monitoring capabilities. The most radical example is Azure Arc, which does not provide any of these intelligent features. Some of these platforms are more business focused, which means that they provide cost monitoring and optimization capabilities like Cisco Cloud Center Suite. They are also open source platforms. So Apache Brooklyn, Cloudify, DCOS, and Melodic. These platforms are usually more intelligent, but they also provide support only for main cloud providers. Generally, Melodic has the biggest score here because it supports not only main cloud providers, but also smaller cloud providers, also various deployment possibilities, and it's a pretty intelligent tool. So let us focus now more on Melodic multi-cloud management platform. It can be seen as a middleware between the application and cloud provider. It allows for multi-cloud application deployment. It is also open source. We have some experiences and we also have arguments for claiming that this solution is unique. And that is the reason that I want to tell a few words about Melodic. So Melodic allows for optimized deployment and management of application in the multi-cloud environment. It also continuously monitors the deployment and make the changes to always have the best balance between the cost and the performance. So what are Melodic key features? It calculates the best cloud environment for application, deploys the application automatically. Moreover, during the application execution, Melodic collects data about the current state of the application and manages to always have the most optimal environment. For instance, if some cheaper offers is found, Melodic will move your VMs to use it. An important feature of Melodic is the fact that it is cloud agnostic tool. All modeling, reasoning, and developing happens without indication and knowledge about the provider. This allows the user to avoid vendor lock-in and makes moving to another cloud provider easier. Melodic supports various types of application components like virtual machines, obviously, Docker containers. It has the native Spark support, and it's also able to deploy the serverless components. It's a very secure tool and the security is still being improved. It has the centralized authentication and authorization of application. Last but not least, Melodic supports the deployment in OpenStack providers, AWS, Google Cloud Platform, Azure, Octawave, and OneStep Cloud. It's very important to mention that Melodic is enterprise ready. It is used by some companies. You can also download and try Melodic, and we encourage you to do that. We will show you how it works in our next part of the webinar. Melodic itself is released under MPL 2.0 license. Currently, the release 3.0 is ready, and we are working on release 4.0. The project is being developed as further developed as Morphemic, and it is hosted on OW2 repository. So, how do Melodic work? Firstly, user needs to create a camel model for his application. I will tell you more about camel in a minute. And the user needs to set up initial parameters for the application. After that, Melodic starts the work. It downloads the offers from all cloud providers that user has access. It calculates the best cloud environment for application and deploys it automatically. The reasoning part is done by solving a constraint optimization problem, maximizing the utility function, automatically generated from the camel model. Currently, Melodic supports deployment on big cloud providers like AWS, GCP, Azure, OpenStack, Octawave, and OneStep Cloud. When application is ready and working, Melodic starts collecting defined by the user metrics about currently running configuration. If the better solution appears or actual solution, so actual deployment configuration becomes unacceptable because of one of the constraints, the reconfiguration is triggered. So Melodic on continuous basis looking for a better solution for the deployment and makes the reconfiguration if newly found solution is significantly better than the current one. It means that it can move application components to another cloud provider, to another virtual machine, add more instances, or whatever Melodic establishes the best deployment. Therefore, during the application execution, Melodic manages to always have the most optimal environment. As I mentioned before, Melodic is a complete solution starting from modeling through profiling, optimization, runtime reconfiguration, and monitoring. The first step is modeling. To do the modeling of application, we use CAML, which is Cloud Application Modeling and Execution Language. It is a domain-specific and cloud provider agnostic language based on Eclipse modeling framework and similar to Tosca. It covers all aspects of application modeling. It's possible to model in CAML the application components, connections between them, Security aspects. It supports various types of application components, script-based, Spark components, Docker containers, also serverless components. It allows for complex infrastructure requirements modeling, and what's probably the most important and unique, it allows for modeling of user preferences called utility function and constraints. It makes the optimization process in Melodic possible. What is more, it supports models and runtime modeling. It is used to express the application state during the runtime. In other words, it supports the description of application state before it starts to be deployed, during the optimization, and when the application is running. Camel is built from modules. It currently contains many modules, and it will have more because they are work in progress on some extensions. What's important to notice is the fact that these modules can be reused in more than one Camel application model. For example, in the Melodic, we have some predefined metric models that are reused in many application models. The main modules that are used in Camel, in every Camel model, are the definition of the application, so the deployment model, the requirement model, which describes the resources that are enough to ensure proper running of the application. Also the metric model, where are the rules for reconfiguration, the definitions of metric, constraints, and utility function. So to sum up, Camel is quite unified and useful way of describing application and infrastructure in the cloud. Now I mentioned like 5 times probably already the best deployment and the optimization. So the question is, what is the best deployment? And that's a very good question. One of the most important features of the Melodic platform is the intelligence, so the ability to find the best cloud application deployment configuration. It is done, as I mentioned before, using constraint problem models and utility functions. The Melodic goal is to maximize the user's utility by maximizing the utility function. I will not go into details now, but just to mention that Melodic uses 5 solvers that are using various optimization techniques, such as Monte Carlo research, supervised learning, parallel tempering, or learning automata, and so on. So Melodic uses these solvers to continuously looking for better solution for deployment and to make the reconfiguration if newly found solution is significantly better than the current one. It collects metric containing information about the usage of the current usage of resources and other important for the user information, often business specific. User can create his own sensor and use built-in sensors to combine the utility function. It's important to mention our newest feature that is being developed in a Morphemic project is called the execution context prediction. It means that the application is optimized and will be optimized for future runtime conditions thanks to complex time series forecasting methods, implementation, and novel optimization techniques. We don't only react on the increasing workload, Melodic will predict it. User preferences usually covers many aspects which are often conflicting. For example, one may want to minimize the cost, keeping the average response time to the user below 1 second. If there are too many requests, there is a need to add more instances, but it will increase the cost that we want to minimize. That's the reason that there is always a trade-off between the cost and the performance, and Melodic is able to handle and find the best possible trade-off. To sum up, Melodic supports this very flexible utility function approach to ensure the best possible optimization of cloud application deployment. The application deployment workflow with Melodic is very simple. You, as a user, need to model your application in Camel and install the Melodic platform. Then you just need to submit your Camel model to your Melodic instance, push the big green button to start deployment of the application, and observe. Thanks to the Melodic UI, you will be able to see the reasoning process of a Melodic, but you are not expected to do anything more. You can connect, relax, and enjoy your application working. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marta. Thank you. So nothing more than introduce our next brilliant speaker. It's Alicja Reniewicz. Alicja will introduce Melodic, open source software for managing application. So how to model and manage the life cycle of application in multi-cloud. A few words about Alicia. She's a full stack developer in technologies related to web applications like Java, Spring, Angular, cloud integration maintains, use of cloud services, also in programming. Alicia is presenting Melodic project in various conferences to potential customers from a technical point of view. So Alicia, your turn.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Josephine, for introducing me. And now I would like to share my screen. I hope you can see Melodic website.
Yes.
Okay. In my part of our meeting, I would like to present you how to use Melodic platform. In order to start Melodic usage, we need to at first install it on our own environment. I start my presentation from Melodic website, where detailed instruction with all requirements how to install our platform is available. And on our page, we can download a text instruction which contains description how to install and how to configure Melodic step by step. Also, we can find here link to the GitLab repository with Melodic code, which is open source, and it is possible to download, use, and also do improvement. We can install Melodic on any quite efficient environment, preferably on virtual machine, because we can see in the requirements description that Melodic needs quite high resources. My Melodic platform is already installed and configured on such virtual machine from AWS provider, and it is up and ready to use. So I can go to my Melodic. I am already logged in and I can use it. At the beginning, I would like to describe Melodic users. Melodic users are managed by LDAP. During Melodic platform installation process, user is asked for provide default Melodic admin credentials, so username and password, of course. After that, all Melodic accounts are fully managed by UI. And now we are logging as administrator, so we can see this manage users option in menu and list of each type of users after choosing them. We have three possible roles of users. Common user, he can perform application deployments. Administrators, administrator manages of users' accounts and also has all privileges from common user. And technical user, he is used only internally by Melodic components, and he is not important from client's point of view. Administrator has permission to creating new accounts with auto-generated password. A new user can log in with such credentials created by admin, and after the first login, he should change the password by choosing such option from menu. What is important? We improved our security policy by adding login account mechanism by LDAP after 4 failed login attempts. When user account is locked, only administrator can unlock it from view with user list. The first step in melodic usage, when our user is created and where it is ready, is the defining of cloud settings. In provider settings menu part, we can check and update providers' credentials and options, as we can see in cloud definitions for providers view. Filling these values is required in order to perform successful deployment, because they are used in contact with providers, for example, by creating virtual machines instances. On my environment, I have already defined these values for Amazon Web Service and for OpenStack providers. Of course, it is possible to add such definitions for another providers, for example, for Google Cloud Provider or for Azure. In these definitions, we provide cloud credentials and properties. For example, settings for Amazon security group or set of private images which we would like to use in our deployments. When our platform is properly configured, we can go to deployment bookmark. Where we start deployment process. Before deployment, we need to model our application, as Marta already mentioned, with its requirements in camel model, which is human understandable and editable form. After that, such model is transformed by dedicated tool to XML format. Form understandable for melodic. We upload such XML file here by drag and drop. Our model is being validated, and after that, it is saved in database. In this case, we can see one already saved model for application with name FCR new, which was saved by me a few minutes ago. In the next step, I need to choose which application I want to deploy and which cloud providers I want to use. On my environment, I have one model stored, so I can choose now only this FCR new model. Below, we can see simulation mode option. Here is possible to run application in such simulation mode. Simulation mode is the case when we don't want to deploy real virtual machines on provider's platform, but only check which solution will be chosen by Melodic. We manually set values of metrics in simulation part and observe the result. It is used in order to check how Melodic reacts for our settings from camel model. For example, for coefficients in our formulas and so on. And in easy way, it is possible to adjust them to our expectations. But in case, if our aim is to perform real deployment, I leave this option turned off. Then I need to select cloud providers. For example, I would like to deploy my application only on AWS. So I chose this cloud definition. Thanks to that, Melodic has credentials for this provider. Of course, it is possible to choose many cloud definitions in this step. And after that, we can see Bion definitions. Melodic has also one more interesting features, which is named Bion. Bion shortcut means bring your own node. Melodic client can create own virtual machine and after that use them in application deployment. In such situation, Melodic uses this machine as node for installation on the particular application component. In Bion settings UI section, it is possible to manage of such definitions. We can create a new Bion definition by providing all information required for creating node, so for creating virtual machine. There are such data as name, IP addresses, login credentials, and also physical parameters of machine. For instance, number of cores, memory, disk space, also provider, and information about operating system, as well as geographical location of this machine. After creation, such definition is available by application deployment. These definitions are saved on users' own Melodic platform configuration, and they could be changed later and also used in another deployments. And by each deployment, user can decide if he wants to use some Bion definition or not. After setting of all configuration, we can go to the last step in this part, where starting deployment is available. On my platform, I have already performed deployment, and I would like to only describe it, so I don't need to start it again. And now please let me go to deployment process view. And here we can see each step of deployment process. Fetching offers is the first step of this process. We have information about current total number of offers from previously selected providers. So in my case, from AWS. From these offers, Melodic will choose the best solution for each of our components.
Yes, something stops, unfortunately. Yeah, I think that Ala has some technical issues. So, Alu, could you connect again? Yeah, Ala is joining us once again. So there is a
Okay, I'm sorry for I have some technical issues with my Zoom, and I hope now I'm back to you.
Yes, now you
okay.
are back. Fortunately, we missed you.
Okay, I'm sorry for that. And yeah, okay. So So now I would like to again describe the fetching offers step. We can see here our total current number of offers. And from these offers, Melodic will choose the best solution for each of our components. After choosing this box, we are redirected to detailed view of our offers. And there are clouds with my credentials to AWS, list of available hardware with information about cores, RAM, disk space, etc. A list of locations where our virtual machines can be located, and images list. Here we can see only our private images, but of course all public images are available for us. And now I come back to process view. And the next step of process is generating constraint problem. A constraint problem is generated based on our requirements defined in Camel model. In simple process view, there are visualized all variables from constraint problem with their domain values. FCR application, so secure documents application, which is deployed here, is a web application built from 3 components: load balancer, database, and application component. This application stores encrypted documents using advanced distributed keys encryption. User communicates with one load balancer, which divides requests between available application instances. All data are stored in one database. Melodic, based on metrics about application performance and user requirements, optimizes number of application instances. Detailed data about constraint problem are shown after click of this box, and here are presented list of variables with additional information about component type, domain, and type of domain. We can see that in this deployment, we would like to find the best solution for application cardinality, also cardinality for database component and for load balancer component, and provider for each of them. Utility formula. It is used for measure utility of each possible solutions and choose the best one. After that, list of constants with types and values. They are created from user requirements and are used in melodic calculations. Here we can see, for example, a minimum and maximum cardinality of application component. So we would like to have from 1 to maximum 10 applications. We set such type of restriction in order to control costs of our deployment. And the last element here, list of metrics with their types and values. They describe current performance of this application. Thanks to them, Melodic can make a decision about triggering the reconfiguration process, which means creating new additional instances or deleting not fully used ones. And in our process view, we can see that when a constraint problem is generated, it is time for rezoning. Melodic finds here the best, the most profitable solution for the problem defined by us. When rezoning is completed, we can observe information about calculated solution. So utility value and values for each variables. In this case, we will have one component with application, one database, one load balancer, and all of our components will be located in the same cloud provider, so in AWS. The next step in process deployment is deploying. Here, Melodic performs operations based on calculated solution. This solution is deployed. For each application component, Melodic creates proper instances, remains them, or deletes. If you want to have more detailed view, it is possible to see the process view using Camunda by choose Advanced View button from upper left corner from Process View. Camunda is tool for modeling processes in BPM and standard and for management of them. And of course, I need to log in to the Camunda by using the same credentials as for Melodic platform. In order to see detailed process view, we need to choose running process instances and choose the process which we would like to see. And now we can observe all variables from this process and also each step of it. This is view for more technical users because of many steps in this process. But thanks to such view, also it is useful, for example, during diagnostic of some problem. Now we can see that after each of these steps, we are here at the end of this process, so our process is finished, as also we can see in process view. When our application is successfully deployed, we can check the result in the Your Application bookmark. In this view, there are displayed list of created virtual machines and functions. Secure Document application requires only virtual machines. We can see that Melodic created 3 VMs as far. So we have one application, one database, and one load balancer. These machines are created in AWS EC2 in Dublin. Also, we have here button for Web SSH connection for each of our instances. In case of serverless functions, which are also supported by Melodic, we would have data about name, state, provider, location, amount of memory, the runtime, stack, and the city. Also, we can verify if our VMs are really created in console of use cloud service providers. So in this case, in AWS console, I go there, refresh my page, and we should see here in a moment our instances. And yes, we have my Melodic and also 3 instances from this application. So a component with load balancer, component with application, and component with database. That is all of Melodic platform overview. I hope you find it intuitive and easy to use. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Alicia. Okay, so I will introduce our next outstanding speaker, Maciej Riedl. He will present the deployment and optimization of the big data application to finish jobs processing in expected time with a minimal cost. So just a few words about Maciej. He's a Java developer at 7 Bulls, involved in multiple projects concerning the AWS, Cloud, Spring, and GPU optimization for machine learning. He has been working with Melodic project for 2 years, responsible for implementing new features of the platform, as well as integration with additional cloud providers. So the floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction, Josephine. Let me share my screen. In my short presentation, I will show you the reconfiguration process, the extremely important feature of Melodic. When the deployment is already finished, the Melodic can find a solution that is fitting, that is best for this specific moment. So when the application is already running, Melodic is still searching for the optimal configuration. To do so, I will show you the application, which is called Genome. It is not just a test example. It is the real case application that is being used in Polish University of Białystok. It is concentrated on comparing genes of a specific person with the reference one, with the valid ones, to look for any mutations or anomalies. As the amount of data there is extremely big, and also as this is the scenario, we need to put time boundaries. There would be a need to adapt, to change the setup during running. As you can see, I already have a Melodic deployed. We currently have 2 workers. I will explain it more detailed later. But I also wanted to mention, to go more about, to tell more about this Genome application, as it is from software point of view, it uses Spark. Spark is an open source analytic engine that enables us for multiple distributed computations and enable us to do them parallelly. So for this Genome application, it would be really good. And which is important, the main part of the Spark is already integrated into Melodic. So we can use Spark Master, which is the component of Genome that is already built in Melodic. And Spark Master takes the role of somehow providing work for providing jobs for workers. In this scenario, we would have multiple workers that pull jobs from Spark Master, and they need to process them. There will be really many of jobs to perform, and Spark Master takes a role as a, let's say, orchestrator. We'll now go to Genome, which is to Grafana, which is a monitoring tool, also integrated to Melodic, which enables us to see the details of the application. And what is extremely important, we can see here the details of the data that Melodic gathers from the workers, from all the virtual machines that are launched in the Melodic. So I will explain the most important parts, but this is really important that Melodic can gather those information, and there are many metrics there. They were mentioned by Marta also and by Alicia, but here we can. But here there are also metrics that are created for this specific application, which is number of simulation. This is the number of jobs that needs to be performed. As you can see, we started with almost 600 simulations to be processed. Also, time boundaries. We have 1 hour to finish all of them. and Melodic would need to adjust the configuration, adjust the solution to be sure that all these jobs are performed in 1 hour. Based on the hardware utilization of the workers, which here is, for example, RAM utilization, Melodic can say if like workers are correctly used, or if we need more of them. In this situation, like now, we still would have not enough of them. As you can see, Melodic is counting how many cores, how many CPUs are needed based on the current solution, how many more CPUs we would need to be sure that the estimated time, this is the metric that Melodic estimates, that the estimated time would be less than the time that we have left. As we need to be sure that all of the jobs are finished on time. On the left side, you can see number of instances. This is the current state of the situation. Like every difference in every peak in this diagram would mean that Melodic is increasing the number of nodes, the number of virtual machines. I will go with you now from the reconfiguration view in Melodic. It looks like that. It is quite similar to the deployment view you have just seen during Alicia's presentation, but there are slight difference. Reasoning, which is almost the same, has one major difference. Now we have more information, much more, because Melodic was gathering all those metric values, and based on them, during reasoning and taking them into account, he can find a better solution that is suitable, that is perfect, that is best for this specific moment. Also, as Ala said, we have utility function. Melodic is also choosing the solution that minimizes, for example, real money cost. It would be also important with long-lived applications. The deployment is communicating with cloud provider to start the machines. Going back here, this reconfiguration I have shown you was already the second reconfiguration launched by Melodic, which is important that the multiple of them can be launched along the entire workflow of the application. Because, for example, if in the situation, Melodic decides to increase the amount of workers to make sure that we finish on time. But for example, if there would be too many workers that are not using all of their resources, that would be a waste, and we would pay too much for not used workers, and Melodic would decrease their amount, which is also important, that we don't need to have to think about it, but Melodic always find the best solution, not only for the application, but also for our costs. Going back to Melodic, you can see the configuration process has already finished. And we should see, as you can see in that chart, we should see more nodes and more workers. And as you can see now, we started with 2 workers. Now we have 4 of them. They are working. They are still pulling the jobs from Spark Master. And which is important, you can see that now, because we have increased worker amount, you can see that estimated time is much lower. And you can see this green sign indicating that currently this is the perfect solution that the Melodic is going to finish on time. Okay, I hope I showed you benefits from using Melodic here, and also that we don't need to think about this application when it is already running, as Melodic takes care of everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maciek. Thank you. So nothing more than introduce our next marvelous speaker. It's Paweł Skrzypek. He will show the benefits of the multi-cloud based on above examples and additionally complex AI-based system. A few words about Pavel. He's highly experienced architect of ICT systems with extensive knowledge of machine learning and big data solutions. He's a chief multi-cloud architect working on Melodic project and other cloud computing projects, focusing mainly on multi-cloud and serverless approach. So the floor is yours, Pavel.
Thank you, Josefina. Thank you for the introduction. Great introduction. Okay, hope you can see my screen.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. And also I'm very happy that we have so many participants in our webinar. Yeah, my colleagues present how to use Melodic, what is Melodic, so you probably have very good knowledge what Melodic is, why you should use the multi-cloud. And now I want to show some, let's say, hard data. Yeah, so why companies, why organization should use the multi-cloud solution and what are the real benefits. I will show that on the examples of the Polish AI investments company, which is it is a fintech company, and AI investments is developing a novel platform for the investments portfolio optimization using advanced machine learning solution. I will tell more about that in my presentation, and I will show the real benefits, yeah, in cash, why to use the multi-cloud. Yeah, we have this marvelous title, break out the matrix and enter into the multi-cloud world, but you can ask why? Why? Yeah, in the matrix, all of the people were happy. So why to break out and why to enter this multi-cloud world? Yeah, in the contradiction to the matrix, there are slightly different reasons. Yeah, first reason is a very pragmatic one. Yeah, money. I know that the gentlemen do not talk about money, but yeah, this is the reason why you should consider using the multi-cloud model, and it is a very, very good reason, especially in today's economy. As Marta presented, we have money. More and more organization companies are starting to use the cloud, and cloud costs, cloud budget started to be very significant parts of the budget. For example, Netflix is spending multi-hundred millions of US dollars for the cloud resources. It's a really, really huge part of their cost business. And if they could save 10%, 20% of that, then the improvement in the gross margin will be very significant, counted in the hundreds of millions of US dollars. Yeah, so this could be a very good reason, especially for the organization which are focused on the cloud, in which the IT systems are a significant part of the business. So you definitely should consider using the multi-cloud in that case. The next reason is the independence, the lack of vendor locking. Again, Netflix is using only the AWS, Spotify is using only the Google Cloud Platform. Yeah, they have probably very good relations with these cloud providers, but you never know what happened. There could be many, many different risks, technical, regulatory, and yeah, even the major force could cause some outages or could make a disruption in the service. We have this famous Google outage, and in that case, most of these businesses were not working. Yeah, so using the multi-cloud, you are independent. You can choose which cloud providers you can use. As Ala and Maciek said, it is automatically selected by Melodic in the optimal way. And third reason is the competition and ability to use different services from the different cloud providers. If you are an AWS fan and doing machine learning, then you can't use the TPU provided by Google. Yeah, so your decision is to not to use the TPU from Google or to move from AWS to Google Cloud Platform. Yeah, but with Melodic, with multi-cloud approach, you have no longer need to make such a difficult decision. You can use the best of all of the cloud providers. Even more, you can optimize your cloud resources usage and save the cost and use the best possible services. So, in my opinion, these three reasons are very important, and the importance of these reasons is growing and growing. Yeah, so especially for the new technology, new companies which are using heavily computing resources like the AI investments, which I will present in a moment. It starts to decide about the event to be or not to be. This is exactly the case about AI investments. I will tell a bit more about that. AI investments is one of the pioneer in the using of the machine learning for the portfolio optimization, but also it is the pioneer in the multi-cloud. So the purpose of the AI investments company is to create the investments platform which are offer the outstanding returns with the controlled risk of the investments. The fundamental assumption is to use the latest achievements of artificial intelligence, machine learning, in time series forecasting and portfolio optimizations, because these new achievements gives very, very good results, but the downside is that they requires a lot of the computing resources, which are just simply expensive. Yeah, and that's the reason that for the AI investments, the multi-cloud is a game changer and very significant competitiveness factor. So, what is the challenge for the AI investments? The idea is to operate on the multiple financial market, to invest into multiple financial instruments. Currently, AI investment invests in over 200 different financial instruments using 400 machine learning models for forecasting, and these models should be continuously trained, retrained, checked for the accuracy and so on. Also, AI investments is using the optimization algorithm, which is based on the AlphaGo approach, so Monte Carlo research with neural network. And this algorithm is used for the future cast, yeah, to find the most optimal set of the assets in the portfolio to be able to provide the best rate of return with the control risk. And we are using, of course, cloud for this portfolio optimization, especially that it is very, very compute intensive. We are using the serverless computing with up to over 3,000 threads parallelly, so it is not possible to use on the using the standard hardware. But thanks to the Melodic, it is possible to use and to deploy the serverless resources. So that's the challenge, and yeah, the solution for that was Melodic. As Marta, Ala, and Maciek already told you, Melodic allows for the automatic and optimized deployment of the cloud resources and application to the selected cloud providers. Melodic can deploy virtual machines, containers, big data framework, but also the serverless components in the multi-cloud way, which is a very unique way. And as Marta presents, it is possible to prepare the utility function, which is a function which measures how good the deployment is. Yeah? And thanks to that utility platform, we can define our business goals. Yeah, it is a very, very unique feature of the Melodic, which is not spotted in the competing platforms, especially any of the platforms mentioned by Marta at the beginning. Doesn't allow for defining that utility function, and as Ala presented, it could be quite easily defined in the Melodic platform and tailor-made for the given application. So this business goal could be easily transformed and write down as the utility function. And for the AI investment, the business goal is quite simple. To train the 50 forecasting prediction models in 1 hour, using, of course, as minimal number of the resources as possible, but we want to finish in 1 hour. It is the very similar problem, but in the completely different domain than the genome application described by Maciek. In the genome application, University of Białystok wants to analyze the human genome and compare with the and find mutation in that. But here we want to train forecasting model to better optimize portfolio and provide better investment results to our investors. Yeah? And all of these goals could be transformed into the utility function and define on the Melodic platform, yeah, and provide the huge benefits, but I will tell about that more. First, how it works. Yeah, in AI investments, the investments analyst, yeah, you can see here, the investments analyst wants to start the training of the forecasting methods. The first trainings are done on the on-premises resources because they are available, they are cheap, yeah, because they are already booked. But usually, yeah, as in life, there are no enough. Yeah, so in that case, Melodic is calculating how long it would take to finish training on the on-premises resources, and usually it is too long. Then Melodic automatically add new resources, of course, selecting the most optimal available offers, deploy, provision these resources, and deploy application to that resources. And again, we are checking how long it takes, still too long. So Melodic is adding new resources. The new resources are used for the training of the models. And at the end of the training, all of the cloud resources are removed. Yeah, after the finishing training, all of resources are automatically removed to save money. And to not forget to remove these resources, yeah, because having the virtual machines with the GPU in the cloud is still very expensive. So it is very important to precisely manage them and provision the provision and have provisioned only when they are needed. So what are the benefits? Yeah, as you see, the problem is simple and quite easy, and as Ala said, it's completely handled automatically. Maciek even proved and showed that this could be handled automatically, but the results from the business perspective are very, very important. And for some companies, it could be a really game changer. Yeah. For the AI investments, we have calculated different models. We calculated the models with the only on-premises resources, with the only cloud-based resources. And as you can see, we have two extreme models. This is the cost in the 3-year perspective, and the most optimal model, and the difference is huge. Yeah, the most optimal model is the hybrid model with some on-premises resources and other cloud-based resources. And using that approach, we are able to save over the 175,000 of US dollars in the 3 years perspective. Yeah. And that's the huge savings, even for the new company, new startup. It's really game changer. But even for the companies like, let's say, Netflix, Spotify, and other companies which are heavy cloud users but do not use the multi-cloud. If you could imagine having the 60% of the cost savings for Netflix, it would be a really huge advantage. But of course, it's not only the Netflix, but all of the companies which are using cloud intensively could use and benefits. Yeah, and for the summary, what are the advantages and benefits for the AI investments, and not only for the AI investments? The first and the most obvious one is the effective optimization of the resource consumption. The second one is the automatic scaling of the machine learning training. Yeah, so you have no bottlenecks and you have always available resources. And it is possible to optimize the work, to maximize the efficiency in comparison or in the relation to the available budget and planned budget. Yeah, so you can control your cloud spendings in that way. And also, which is very important for the AI investments, Melodic automatically increase the availability of the application. We have the situation in case of the on-premises infrastructure failure. We have the issues with our on-premises architecture, and Melodic automatically move all necessary components to the cloud. Yeah, because this is, let's say, built-in feature of the optimization, and this feature could give real significant benefits also for other companies. Yeah, there are many more benefits, and each company could have their own best benefits. As Marta said, for the e-commerce application, the benefits are obvious, yeah, because we can scale automatically, and for other type of the components. Currently, AI Investments is using Melodic platform, but is of course planning to deploy the advanced Morphemic version as well, especially with these forecasting capabilities and also polymorphic adaptations, well, advanced support for the different hardware accelerations on the GPU, but also for the FPGA in the cloud and other hardware acceleration. we are expecting that it will be another huge step in the development of this solution. So that's all from my side. If you have any question, please write it down in the question tab. We'll try to answer that. And if you want to know more about the Morphemic, Melodic, and also the AI investments use case, I warmly invite to the Melodic website and also to follow Melodic and Morphemic on the LinkedIn and other social media, because they are published all news, features, and new releases of the platform there. So you can you can track it in the real time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paweł. Yes, once again, if you have any questions to our speakers, please write it into the questions and answers. And I saw that one participant raised the hand. If you don't mind, please write a question in the section questions and answers. So once again, thank you very much, Paweł, and just
Thank you.
on our fantastic speaker, Katarzyna Materka. A few words. She will just give you a presentation how to start. So Katarzyna is a manager of the Cloud Solution Department at Seven Bulls. She's involved in defining strategies and test procedures, certified in Prince2 Foundation and ISTQB. Katarzyna is a technical work package leader in the Morphemic project as an extension of Melodic and involved in many other European projects. So Katarzyna, your turn.
Yes, now I will share my screen. I hope it works. Great. So, how to start? In fact, it's very easy. Just you have to go to this page and download Melodic. And there is also a very in detailed manual how to install and run Melodic. Melodic is fully open source and released on Mozilla public license, so you can use and adapt for your purposes without any limitation. I will go through this website. So here you can find places when you should, from where you should start. We have very detailed and illustrated guidebooks which provide all necessary information about the deploying and usage of Melodic. Also, here you can find description and descriptions of the use case stories with the proven benefits of using Melodic. Also, we have many videos, webinars, and other informations how to use it, how it works. And more will coming. So it's available in our social media and other things. And also you can find us on the Morphemic website. Here we provide the newest information about developing the Melodic and how we change it and what will be new. So here you can find more and more information, sometimes very similar or complementary to the Melodic. So once again, it's very easy to start. First, visit our website, then see what we describe on our use case on the Melodic and Morphemic website. Then you can find more detailed information in guidebooks and also on videos and recorded webinars like this one and many others. also, as maybe it's not mentioned before, but we warmly invite you to become a developer in Melodic, because this is open source, and it also our open source code is available on OW2. The biggest European open source organization. You can register and start to contribute to the Melodic. It's a fully European project. Morphemic also is on the community of OW2. So we really want to encourage all developers to participate in the development. For us, it's really valuable. So please join us. And finally, it's very important for us to follow our social media from all of you, like LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. We are very active there, and we try publish the most interesting information. So we are welcome, very warm welcome to join and follow our all social medias and web pages. So that was very short information and presentation from my side, but I really warm invite you to follow Morphemic and Melodic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kasia. Thank you. Okay. So, all right, sharing the screen. So thank you. Thank you very much for your presentations. That was actually excellent to hear both technical functioning of the Melodic and most of all the practical usage, as well as its extension to Morphemic. So once again, please visit our Melodic and Morphemic websites. Please follow us via social media and stay tuned with our webinars. Do we have any other questions and answers? Can we see it? I know that one person raised the hand, but I don't see additional question. It is 2 questions so far, but if you have, of course, another one after probably watching our video once again when we will send it to you, so please contact us. We have 2 questions. I can read it. Also answered. So one question is, it is an internal LDAP server managed by Melodic. What about user federation? So the answer is yes, currently it's internal LDAP, but it would be possible quite easily to connect to external LDAP for user authentication. Another question is, do you see to use TensorFlow or PyTorch? So the answer is we are using mostly PyTorch, but TensorFlow is also supported. So waiting for another questions and answers. If you have any, please. There is a time. So maybe also in the meantime, some last sentences from our speakers. So Marta, Alicia, Maciej, Paweł, Katarzyna. Your last sentences, last words.
Maybe I will start because I was the last, so now will be the first. So for me, it's really a pleasure to present our project, and I hope that that will be useful for all participants, not only for us. And I hope that we can meet soon with the maybe more detailed or with the webinars more focused on some topics which will be raised after this. So thank you very much once again.
Thank you. Other participants, any word? Last word? Maybe Paweł?
Yeah, I also want to say thank you for all of the participants in the webinar. I hope that you will find that interesting, and even more, I hope that you will benefit from the multi-cloud approach. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. So Marta, Alicia, Maciej?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have anything to add. Oh, yeah, we don't have an
Marta,
order
yes,
here.
please.
Thank you again.
Marta. So. Okay, we cannot hear. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for attending our webinar.
Okay, thanks. So if we do not have any additional words, and I suppose that we do not have questions and answers. Yeah, we have. No. Okay, so if you have any additional questions to our webinar, of course, we can stay tuned. So as I said before, this webinar was recorded, still is, and we will send you the webinar after to all the participants, and of course will be also available from the Morphemic Melodic project. So from my side, thank you very, very much for participation. Thank you very much for our panelists and our speakers and our participants for this webinar. And of course, we are going to organize another ones. So thank you and stay tuned with us.
Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you.